What's up, everyone, and welcome to Free for All Friday, brought to you by Detroit Lions on the Prowl and Lions Nation Unite. It is Friday night football, baby. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. It's just me right now for Queen of the Prowl, but you never know who's going to show up. So, right now, we are going to just get into recapping, the mini camp that just happened with the Detroit Lions. That is over. We're going to be looking forward to to the training camp coming up in July. So, Proud Nation, I want to know from you who was your biggest stud for you in mini camp. For me, it was a surprising pick. Um, I would select Sam Laporta. He surprised me as a tight end, um, and seemed to be crushing all of minicamp, putting players to the test. So, yeah, I would go and select Sam Laporta. Um, he's just becoming a surprise pick, and I hope that he can continue this throughout the season. So let me know who you thought that your biggest stud was in the Lions minicamp that just ended. Hi, Dan Spanos. What's up? What's up? What's up? We're testing this out on a Friday night to see how well people, will respond to it. If not, we will go back to our 11 a.m. slot. But now, speaking of studs, we've got to go into who would be the biggest dud in mini camp. Well, for me, the haterade's going to keep continuing because I'm going to go with Dropmo Jamo Williams. Sorry, he's still not impressed me whatsoever. And I thought it was cute because on the last video that we did, somebody said that I was on the hate wagon with him. And I'm not on the hate wagon with him. I have higher expectations for him, and he's not meeting them quite yet, and I want him to do so. Uh, so, you know, he's still not showing up well in mini camp, dropping passes. Um, Now, the person who was saying that I was hating on JMO was also explaining that, every time that JMO's on the field, he's scoring a touchdown or he's close to scoring a touchdown. Well, he only scored one touchdown last year, and he had what I believe it was 34 chances to do anything with the ball. So no. And then there was some drop passes as well. Hey, Jazzy One, Paul Taros, how you doing tonight? Proud Nation, I'm asking you guys who you thought your biggest studs and duds were in the Detroit Lions mini camp this off season. So let me know, and we'll talk about it. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you can keep track of all the Lions content coming up here. I'm going to be doing some revamping. I was going to actually create a Laporta supporter shirt today, but for some reason, the Proud Nation shop did not want to work well with me today. But I promise you that shirt is coming. You guys asked for it. I've got it all set up. I just got to get the shop to work with me, my technical challenges. So Dan Spanos, you say you was most impressed with Gibbs. What impressed you about Gibbs? I mean, he was doing quite a bit here in the mini camp. So um, I'm okay with him. I'm not that mad at him. The only thing I was upset is he's got my boy's number, but that's not his fault. Um, but other than that, I have no hate for him whatsoever. So, and your biggest dud is Nate Dudfield. It's in the name, not Dudfield. That's funny. Suckfield, we tend to call him, but he actually, Dan Campbell actually named him as one of the most improved players on the team. He didn't seem to do so bad in minicamp. So we'll see if he can progress and can still hold his own as the QB2. Because I don't know if Hendon Hooker is going to make it at the Q2 spot in time or not. Depending on how well that arm heals, it looks like it's doing pretty good. Yeah, that's not that hard when you suck that bad. Well, that's what I was saying about Kirby Joseph shining in the defense with a defense that's ranked number 32 in the league. I mean, the really only credit I can give to Kirby Joseph's name is the fact that he did pull that move on Karen Rodgers and shut him down, and that he will forever be remembered for. And we all appreciate that. But outside of that, he kind of struggled too in the mini camp. So he was shining when they were ranked 10. Well, when were they ranked 10? When was the defense? The defense was not ranked 10 last year at all. I don't think they made it up past 19 that I could remember. When did they hit the 10 spot? Because I don't remember that ever even happening. I know the offense was pretty high up in the charts, but the defense wasn't. Not to my knowledge. Because those ballerinas of the backfield were just no, son, no, absolutely not. And you had an anal zone acting a fool, and you have Rodrigo not playing well. He's becoming a dud in minicamp from reports. So we don't know what's going on over there. So they got to get that defense straight. I'm still not confident in Aaron Glenn whatsoever, but we'll see. It was quite interesting, though, to see that Dan Campbell had mentioned that Kellen Shepard could be a head coach. So where the heck is everyone else? I'm sick of typing. They all got tired out on a Friday night. They all passed out. I know that I had a couple people that said that they would be on and then kind of bailed at the last second. So, hey, if you're sick of typing, I can send you the link if you want to pop on. I can always send you the invite. You wouldn't have to worry about typing then. You don't have to be on camera, but you can pop on the show if you want. So, give me a hard time about what I think about these Detroit Lions sometimes. So there you go on that one. So but I'm sorry, the biggest dud for me still is JMO. And Calvin Johnson's he wants to mentor him. Marvin Jones wants to mentor him. I said he's still proven that he may have the moves with his legs, but he sure doesn't have the touch with that football. You're getting ready to go, or you would excuses. Go where? You're supposed to be here. It's free for all Friday night. Yeah, you're hanging out with the Proud Nation family. Where are you going? So interesting things going on. There's been some trade rumors going on with the Detroit Lions. Would you make a trade, Proud Nation, for Chase Young? And what would you trade? The couple of trades that we're going to be talking about here, I really don't think that we need either one of them. I'm sure they might be nice additions, but why are we not building up and working with what we have already. Oh, okay. You not okay. You have an excuse. You have an excuse, Dad. So, no, I would not trade for Chase Young. I know there's a lot of people that would trade for Chase Young. Um, there's some guys that could probably trade for Chase Young that that we could get rid of. Uh, Will Harris, a few other people, but I'm not making a trade. I'm not making any trades right now. I don't see the need for it. I don't see the need for us to spend money like this unnecessarily. Whatever. Yeah, Chase Young is never on the field. I don't know. I don't know too much about Chase Young whatsoever, but I'm not keen on doing any real trades at this point whatsoever. Um, the other trade that people have been so over hyping is trading for DeAndre Hopkins. And again, I'm gonna say no. Hey, Tornado. Good Friday night from Utah. Nice seeing you on a Friday night, and hope people are joining the show. Yeah, it's one of our first Friday free for all at nights. So we'll just see how the things are going. And if not, if this time slot doesn't work out well, then we'll go back to the 11 a.m. slot for just free for all Friday, and then do our regular shows during the night. We're just kind of testing some things out, playing with them, and seeing how things are going. I know that like Tim is working right now. He said that he would pop in, but that's all going to depend on when he has his break. And who knows who else might stop by. I know LL had an engagement tonight, so he won't be here more than likely. But hey, we'll see how it goes. We'll just hang out. You got me, Queen of the Prowl, talking Friday Night Football with y'all. King SJ, hello, all hi, King SJ. I hope you're having a great Friday night. John Doe, hello, my Lions family. Absolutely. We're glad to have you both here. You here, all of you here. Start slow and then come on. Well, you know what? We are just testing things out and seeing how it is. I told you we were just going to keep things rolling. We're going to keep Jim's vision alive. And if people are on board with us, they're on board with us. And if they're not, they're not. That's the way it is. So, so what do you guys think about these trades here with Chase Young and DeAndre Hopkins? Would you make those trades right now with the Lions at where they're at? Let me know in the comments, because I want to. This show is all about you guys, and I want to know what you guys think. Oh, here comes Brian Stover. Hey, everybody. I've been busy. If you want to come onto the show live, let me know, and I will send you the link. Ooh, look who has coming in hot. It's our main man, Kurt Steele.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. He's like, I can't leave my lady hanging over here.
Oh no! I was having dinner with the family, finished up, and I do my Friday wind down, so you know how I would get down.
Yeah, so, we say, hey, watch out! You're gonna have that cigar and that smoke, or that, and his probably what you drinking tonight? Bourbon?
Some Uncle Nearest whiskey.
Oh, Uncle Nearest whiskey. So I have to ask you, Kurt. We're mini-camp's been going on. Who was your biggest stud in minicamp?
Gotta be Kirby Joseph.
No,
gotta be Kirby.
No,
I know you don't. I know you don't like Kirby. That's my guy. This the thing with the owner. I was like, come on, dude, you go take the ball over to Sheila. I'm liking his swag. I'm liking how he's maturing with the veterans. That's I think what I like about what Kirby's doing out there on the field. He's taking the direction from Gardner Johnson, who's another standout. I like Gardner Johnson too. He's been doing his thing back there. Um, Sat out yesterday, but he was in there. Sat out 2 days ago, but he was there yesterday. But those two, really the secondary in general. I mean, they've been showing up and showing out. And with them, those guys doing that, people have been talking about, oh, golf struggling. No, it's that new secondary. They're making him struggle. He said it himself. It's tighter windows, tighter throws, and these guys are communicating. Um, if and it's been like that for a while because you look at it's easier for defenses to gel than it is for offenses because you have so much things, so many what do you call that? Contributing factors on the offense with timing. And that's why you see it's hard for golf to get on track with Marvin Jones, Jameson Williams, and those new guys, just because of the fact they have to get their timing down. But they'll get there. But the secondary itself has been the star. Has been the star of the offseason.
Right. I said Sam Laporta, but I do agree with you on the secondary. I'm glad to see that the secondary has finally stepped up and we don't have to worry about the blind ballerinas of the backfield anymore.
Yeah, you and the blind back that cracks me up every time I hear you say it. You like the blind ballerinas in the backfield. But you know what though? And Dan Campbell said something this year that was it was what do you call that? Self awareness. He was saying that they made an emphasis to put veterans at every level, but the secondary because everybody was so young in the secondary. They didn't have any, you know, hard veteran presence besides, like a Tracy Walker, maybe last year with Deshaun Elliott, but he wasn't a coverage veteran. He was a thumper, you know what I'm saying? That's the type of presence he brought because he didn't know how to play that back end of their defense. He wasn't a quarterback back there. He was more of a, I'm gonna go get the ball type of player. So but I like what they have now, especially at corner. That's where it was so young at cornerback. And to get those guys in there like Cam Sutton and Gardner Johnson can play the nickel. And then the surprise, I think, for me was that you had Mosley actually out there. It was just through the walkthroughs, but he was actually on the field, had his helmet on and everything. So you look at that. Hopefully, we can get some guys back. You had Anzarike out there working out the other day, in the hooker throwing passes. It was an exciting last few days of minicamp, even though it was still the pajama party because, you know, uh, I published an article today with over there on Yara Barker talking about you still can't glean a lot of stuff from minicamp because they're still in
Mhm.
pajamas. They're still in t-shirts and shorts and with the helmets. They're in shells and there's no contact. So
Mhm.
and that gives defense an advantage too. You know, you but well, especially the secondary and with the you can't glean nothing from either lines because there's no contact allowed. So you can't like say that, oh, they say, well, Houston did this and Hutchinson did that, but it's like, well, they're supposed to do that because of the fact that there's no contact and they're played against the second and third units most of the OTAs. Ragnall and those guys. You got Sewell in there and probably Jonah Jackson. They got more of a what do you call that? Individual drills, but team drills it was mostly the backup. So, eh, you know, it is what it is. But I'm glad to be home with my Proud Nation family tonight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always happy to be with the family.
Absolutely. We're glad that you're here, Kurt. So, who was your biggest dud?
Who was my biggest dud? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Um, hmm, biggest dud. Ugh. You have a dud in the pajama party? Um, Probably. I won't say that it was a player. It was a connection, and it was the connection or the failure of connection between Jameson Williams and Jared Goff. Now Goff and Williams did have a few plays the last couple of days of camp And one thing I like that they did is that if they messed up something up, they would go and work on the side between sessions, between reps, and work on it. And that's what helped, get Jameson like some touchdowns or some good seam routes. So it's just a work in progress, but um, you would like it to be further along. But I understand kind of the mechanics of why, even though he went out and worked out with them in California, but he's working out with all those guys in California. It wasn't a one-on-one session between Jameson Williams and Jared Goff. You had St. Brown out there, and you had David Montgomery and all those other skill position players. So it's just going to be one of those things. And Eric Slick wrote something the other day. He was like, um, the difference between Jameson Williams and the other guys is that Williamson Williams and the golf connection, because golf has never played with someone that fast, and it's like he can't. It's hard for him to anticipate his movements because the other guy he can time them down, but with Williams, he's so fast. It's kind of hard to get like anticipate his moves. So it's gonna fall on both of those guys, where he's gonna have to get his uptick. Golf's gonna have to be able to anticipate his movements. I guess with a quicker eye. And Williams is going to have to learn how to throttle it down, so he can, get the timing down with golf. He can turn it up anytime he wants to. So throttle it down, get through the route, and then, explode down the field. But I'm not worried about it. I think Ben Johnson's going to have those guys ready to go for the season. And everybody's worried about, well, Williams is going to be gone for the first 6 weeks. Yes, he is, but he's going to start practicing. Like they're scared he's going to lose whatever gets with golf this offseason. But you got to remember, he comes back in week 4 with the team. He won't be able to play till week 7, but he gets 3 weeks of practice or 2 weeks of practice, saying prior to that. So he'll be ready to go. That time it will be back on par by the time the season starts. But um, I'm liking the direction of the team. Um, it still has some holes that need to fix because I'm not blind. What I'm saying? There's things that needs to be worked on, and things that need to be adjusted, and we got to see if this is going to work out prior to the season starting. We talked about a defensive tackle position several times. We didn't pick a guy early in the draft. We waited to the third round, um, or we didn't trade for a veteran like Quentin Williams, or um, we didn't get Ed Oliver before he got snatched up by the Bills, re-signing out there. So um, it's just one of those things where it's going to have to work yourself out. We still don't know what's going to happen with the linebacker position. Is Jack Campbell, who played primarily most of pretty much all of the once they got with the veterans, the rookies, he's been delegated to the second team because Derek Barnes has stepped up and he's not letting that rookie outplay him right now. So it is kind of one of those things where the linebacker room. I know people don't like Anzalone, um, but he had a good second half of the season. So, but the connection between Jameson, I got off on a tangent, but the connection between Williams and Goff was my biggest dud of the OTAs.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed with JMO quite yet. Now, yeah, he's got the speed, but he's really only had one real good season in college football, and he hasn't really done much outside of that one season.
He's got stuff he got to work on. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say he doesn't.
Hmm.
He has stuff. He has to work on his hands. But my thing is he's coachable. So I think he'll be able.
Hmm.
He's a coachable young player. So I think he'll be able to get those things down.
I
Um,
think one of the nicest impacts there is Calvin Johnson putting the
Other than that,
mentorship on him. I think
hmm
that if anything, that's going to make the biggest difference with JMO. I
yeah,
think
I think so.
I don't think Marvin Jones could be as great of a mentor to JMO as Calvin Johnson could be.
Yeah, and I think and Jones said it even to in the last interview he did with Tim Twentyman. He's more the guy who's drawn to him is St. Brown. St. Brown is the one that's like attached to his hip. So it may be the Calvin Johnson. type of deal where he gets the Hall of Fame um, type of treatment. And I'm loving to see Calvin Johnson back at Allen Park, man. To see him interacting with the coaching staff with Brad Holmes, man, that's just something that's been missing since he's been gone out of the league. And we've missed Megatron because he was a class act, in Detroit. I mean, he gave everything he had to the city. He gave everything he had to the team. I mean, the guy only could practice because his injuries were so um, intense where he only could practice on Friday through the walkthrough and then playing the game because he was rehabbing the other days of the week. So Calvin Johnson is as my guy. I have so many Calvin Johnson jerseys. It's ridiculous.
Right, right. And surprising, somebody who was stepping up in this mini camp was Jim's boy, Derek Barnes.
Yeah. Um, reading that he made sure that he learned the defense and was more aware astute at studying the game this off season. That kind of it reminds me of another young player that's on the defense that had a really great offseason. That's Aleem McNeil. Where you look at these two young players, they're learning what it is to be a professional football player, and they're taking it seriously. Studying the game film, studying the game itself, learning the intricacies of the defense to become a better player, being more instinctive instead of reactive. Um, and then you have a player like Aleem McNeil, make sure he's taking care of his body, shedding the body fat, not particularly weight itself, but shedding the body fat, making himself faster, focusing on his techniques and being a better pass rusher. I'm liking the maturity level of these young guys, and you just add it with the guys that we're getting back, especially on the defensive line. Uh, it's gonna be some. It's gonna be some tough decisions for the coaching staff to see who makes the roster, and it's gonna be some tough sledding for some of those quarterbacks in the NFC this year when they face Detroit.
Yeah, and with all of the roster, all of the fighting for the roster spot, it's interesting to see that there are a couple of trade rumors out there with Chase Young and DeAndre Hopkins. Would you trade for either guy? And if you would, what would you trade?
Um, I'll take a ham sandwich for Chase Young. I give him a ham and I'll take. It would have to be something that's well, Hopkins is a free agent, so um, and I saw that Baltimore offered him like a $2 million 1 year deal, and that's like, nah, that's not gonna cut it. Um, you're gonna have to pay DeAndre Hopkins at least double digits, so you're gonna at least pay him 10 million, if not more, to come be on the roster. Chase Young, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm trading for him because he's gonna want a new deal before he steps on the field. And with the way that Brad Holmes and his new I forget the young man's name because it's not um, Disney anymore. Does the salary cap? He does something else now. I forget the young man's name, but the way that they've fixed the cap, I don't want to destroy it with one trade or single player or like a 1 year hire. Like I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna get a 1 year player, I want a 1 year like a prove it deal. I don't want to be the hire gun. Like we've done that too many times in Detroit where we bring in a big name free agent at the end of his career or something like that, or he's in the transition period where he's coming out of his prime and you think that one guy's gonna lead to a championship. I don't want that in Detroit right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't see the reason why we would want to be bringing in any more people when we're trying to figure out what we've got already. It just doesn't make any sense to me why there's such a desire by some of the fan base for trades to be happening right now.
Yeah, you get some people, and even with the acquisition of David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, people were like, "Oh man, we can get Dalvin Cook." I'm like, "Why do we need? We don't need Dalvin Cook. We don't need Dalvin Cook. It's because Dalvin Cook got released." No, but see, here's my thing with the Dalvin Cook. You're gonna pay him. You're gonna pay him more than you're gonna pay both of Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery combined. So I'm good on I'm good on Dalvin Cook because he wants to get paid. That's why he left Minnesota. They was like, yeah, we're not gonna pay this guy.
So I gotta ask you, what was your initial reaction to Golf and him showing up with all of that bling, looking like he was Vanilla Ice on crack?
Man, I loved it. I talked about this the other night over on Detroit Lions News. I'm loving the playfulness. I'm loving the um, kind of like he come out of his shell. I'm loving his his embrace of his teammates. They Joseph and Walker. And they gave him the thing that shut it off for me that made it better than the Kirk Cousins things was the buffs. You know what I'm saying? He had the buffs on, the sunglasses. That's a Detroit staple. And he rocking those out there with the Honolulu Blue buffs. He killed it. He shut it down when he did that.
I know Dan Spanos shared that picture with me, and the first thing I did was go to Google and pop up Vanilla Ice with the same sunglasses. It was
Yeah.
almost a spitting image.
It- I'm loving that he's like kind of letting his hair down a little bit. And I'm not saying because I mean you don't know. I'm not saying he's a type. He's not wild. I'm not saying he's wild type. Hell, his girlfriend's a freaking SI swimsuit model. I mean, like the guy's chill. But to see him kind of like laugh it up and yuck it up a little bit and not be too serious. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
to be
I
able to
don't
laugh
think
at
he's
himself and to
I
have
don't think he's serious as in real, just intense. He's more serious as in just like laid back and chill, and he's really got
fun.
like almost introverted in some ways, where he's really not stepping up to just be this, star of the show type of guy. He's just more like that
Yeah.
surfer dude. Like, peace out, bro.
But yeah, he's a Cali guy. What I'm saying to his heart.
Mhm. Yeah. So what was your reaction here with Campbell saying that Golf is a better quarterback with the Lions than he was with the Rams?
I initially had the same reaction as the reporter in the pool that day. Like, what? Like he went to the Super Bowl with LA, but I understand the sentiment of what he said. He was saying that he's a more mature quarterback now than he was in LA. He has more accountability in the offense. He's taking responsibility, saying for the offense and making it better. The way he works with Ben Johnson and the way he stuck out, if from the first year to the second year, his maturity in the offense and his maturity as a player. I understand what Dan Campbell's saying. Um, and you got to look at what he was given the first year in Detroit as far as what he left in LA to what he had his first year in Detroit. That was definitely apples and oranges. But he played hard and he never complained. He kept his head down. He worked hard and he got with Ben Johnson in the offseason last year. And they made it a point to play to his strengths and what he's doing now, being a leader on the field. He's out there. If guys aren't running the routes right, hey, I want you here. I want you there. And it's not like he's been an asshole about it. He's just being a leader on the field and telling his receivers and his skill players, hey, this is what we want to run to make this offense successful. So I'm liking the way he stepped up in leadership.
Our boy Anthony is in there. What up, Joe One Pride? Got Statham Jr. in the building.
What's up, Anthony? That's my
What's
guy,
up,
Jason.
Anthony?
I had so much fun. I was a special guest on their 200 episode the other day, and it was so much fun with Luke G and Anthony and Matt and I forget the other young man's name. And Jeremy was on there for Jeremy Reisman from Pride Detroit was on there. It was so much fun. If you don't know about Royal Lions UK, man, those guys know their football. So head over to their channel. Even they're from the UK, but they know American football like it's
Mm-hmm.
nobody's business.
Brian Stover, of course, he's got that golf love. He says the thing is, it doesn't take much for him to be better than he was in LA.
Mm, mm. Nope. Golf was good in LA. You got to remember they went 13-3. He made a Pro Bowl a couple of times out there in LA. So he was good in LA. It was just that back end when he kind of fell out of favor with Sean McVay. Those last couple of seasons was a little rough, but they still were winning seasons though. Because I
Hmm.
think he went 9 and I think he went 9-7 the last 2 years in LA.
I don't know how well anybody could get along with Sean McVay, though, to be honest. But that's just my personal opinion. Dude
You
looks
talking about
like he would be. Per-
the guy who beat out Calvin Johnson as the player of the year in high school in Georgia? That guy? I was like, he beat Calvin Johnson in the for high school player of the year in Georgia that year. He must have been doing something special.
Yeah, he was probably doing something special, all right, whether it was legal or not, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So how
Let me, I got
comfortable? Go ahead.
I got to give a shout out to my peoples, man. My girl Jess. This has a lion etched in it. Usually, it's kind of hard to see it with the look in it, but it has an etched lion inside of it. I had it made special.
That's cool. That's cool. So how
And then my
comfortable?
wife for the footballs. You don't see the
Oh yeah,
football.
I was wondering what that was. I could. It was hard for
Yeah,
me to
those are
tell what that was.
footballs.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So
what's up? How comfortable am
how
I with what?
comfortable are you with the backup quarterback positions?
Absolutely terrified. Absolutely
Dan
terrified.
Campbell says he's comfortable, though.
Yeah, so did Ben Johnson said the same thing, and I'm like, you know what? And I'll say this: if Hooker was fully healthy and was able to go, I'd feel a little bit better. But right now, and Nate Sudfeld. I'm like the dude, and I know it's not his fault, or maybe it is, but he's got 37 career passes in the NFL. 37, and he's been in the league since 2016. So that's not a lot of, you know, that's not a lot of, work or film on a guy that's been in the league that long. And I'm still convinced that the Lions should make a run at Teddy Bridgewater. I would be more comfortable with him being our backup than I would be Nate Sudfeld.
Well,
Um,
Seth was supposedly balling out in minicamp, so is this all
man,
blow up or cap then?
that's cap, man. The pajama party is the pajama party. That's the pajama party. Is pajama. I published an article over there on Yard Barker today, and I said the pajama party continues. It's all fun and games, and it's all like because you can't glean anything from minicamp. I mean, you can take little bits here and there of what potentially could happen, but I'm looking at hell. We looked at last year. We took a look at those guys. Ooh, Tim Boyer was turning up in OTAs. Oh man, like no. David Bly was doing his thing. In minicamp, and yeah, nah, I'm not buying it.
So Dan Campbell out there capping on us, huh?
No, he can feel comfortable. I'm not saying he can't feel comfortable. I'm just saying that until the bullets are flying, I'm not buying Nate Sudfeld as a backup quarterback. Sorry. Until there's some live action and he can do it, what I'm saying? Like, we'll see in preseason. I may see if I can finagle a trip down the road because I will, the last preseason game, which is televised, will be in Charlotte. So I maybe see I can take a trip down the road again and catch that game.
So you think that Hendon Hooker might be able to start a little early? Or are we gonna have to wait and
Well,
see on him?
that's what I got. Wait, see, I know he's throwing right now, and that was a surprise to me. The two surprise kind of three guys that were kind of surprised me to actually be on the field. Some this at OTAs was Emmanuel Mosley because he's coming from the ACL, and then you had actually Levi Onwuzurike was out doing some drills, no helmet, but he was out there doing some drills, and then Hendon Hooker, he's throwing against air. He would throw just to actual receivers, but there was no defense out there, so. But he was actually throwing the ball, and I was like, okay, young fella, but it's still a wait and see. it's tricky with those injuries, especially with those knees, and I don't want him to come back too soon, and we've seen that far too many times, especially in Detroit, where we rush guys back, and all of a sudden, there it's a even worse injury where they where they're out for a long time.
So, with the mini camp now being over, we're going to be heading up into training camp. So, what is the biggest thing that you're looking to see from the Lions in this July training camp?
Well, okay, end of July, what am I seeing? What I want to see? Um, I want to see both the lines. How are they going to gel? Is it going to be can Big V pick up where he left off before he got hurt with his back injury? Because a couple times in those preseason games, Big V and Panay Sewell were a force on that right side of that offensive line, and I like that with those guys. And then can the defensive line, can they pick up where they left off in the last part of the season where they were actually, playing better against the run? And how can you get these all of these guys that you have now on the defensive line? Can they gel together? Who's going to stand out? Who's going to get cut? Because you have that defensive line room is packed now because you have Charles Harris coming back, Romeo Aquara coming back, John Kaminsky's back. You looking at guys like Pascal is there, and then you have the potential of Anzarike coming back. You have the maturity and how is the work that Aline McNeil did in the offseason going to pay off to the field. Then you have James Houston and um, the and Aiden Hutchinson and all those guys. That pass rush should be ridiculous this year because they should be able to rotate. It shouldn't be like a huge. It's going to be some drop off between first and second group, but think about this. You have the two you have the two sack leaders from last year coming back, and then you have the two sack leaders from the two previous years coming back because Charles Harris was the one in 2021 and 2020. It was Romeo Quar. So you have a loaded defensive line room, and can these guys gel together? And how is the young fella Broderick Martin going to fit into the picture? What is his role going to be? Can he make some waves and get into the starting lineup? So the offensive line, the defensive line, because you couldn't get anything from either group in OTAs because there's no contact. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for that, and then of course, can the secondary keep up their play? And who are we going to get back from injury when training camp starts in here in about 6 weeks? So I mean, like, there's another OTA session like next week, but that's usually reserved for rookies. Like most of the players will not be there next week. You won't see a lot of veterans there. After mini camp, they usually go on vacation. They're probably in Cabo or Colombia or what do you call that down in down in Mexico somewhere or on a boat somewhere with their families on vacation. You have a couple players like Jonah Jackson. He's a new father, so he'll be probably hanging out with the family. But um, the lines are where I want to see the bread and butter. Can they gel, and what are we going to see from those guys um, coming up in training camp? Because we're going to see a lot of stuff from them in training camp, huh? Because they can start hitting, they can put the pads on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing for me. I want to see the safety position and how that develops. I want to see the cornerback position and see how that develops. I want to see the secondary continue to be just as aggressive as with pads on as without pads, or even more so. And I mean, I got JMO's got to give me something, man, sooner or later to work with here because it's just not clicking for me with him whatsoever. So I don't know how much he'll be able to participate in. Will he be able? Is there
Yeah,
any
he can
participation in
go. He can go all the way up to the last
preseason?
preseason game.
Oh, to last.
Yeah,
That's
he
what I
can go all
thought.
through. Yeah, he can go all the way to preseason, and then what he'll be able to he'll start practicing in week 4,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
then he'll come back to.
we also got to worry about because we don't know if there's going to be another round of suspensions coming for gambling policy too.
I think the next one's going to be around the league. I think the next one's going to be around. We talked about this that survey that happened a couple weeks ago from the Athletic, and a lot of players said they were not aware that of the how the policy was written, and um that that they didn't know that, like, they thought it was he didn't do anything wrong. They were like, I don't know about that. And you see that one guy that out there in Indy, they're talking about suspending him for life because he was betting on Colts games. So
Well,
this gambling
you
thing,
should know never to bet
you
on
not never
football
never to
games.
get on your own,
You
especially
should,
on your own team.
and I've been talking about it with a few people myself, and and I was like, here's some lessons learned out of this. Number one, apparently, no one ever reads the employee handbook.
No. And you said something one time, and I thought about this, and I was like, hmm. And he was like, well, you can Google this. I'm like, well, Google doesn't make it common knowledge because who the hell? Everybody's not checking Google for everything, man.
Yeah,
It doesn't make
apparently
it. Yeah.
we have established that no one has read the employee handbook when they sign their
No.
contract. Number
Yeah.
two, my only problem with this whole gambling policy situation is that the NFL themselves admitted that the training they give to personnel, coaches, and all of that is different than what they give players. Why? This should be a uniform thing across the board. Why is there different
Yeah.
training?
And the Lions, it went deep because of the fact that you had so many staff members. They were lower level. There was any executives caught on that, but they got dismissed as well. Because it wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
players that got cut. It was
Mm-hmm.
people that were staffers that got released because of the gambling issue. So I'm like, apparently there's a disconnect somewhere in this gambling policy, and we need to get it fixed.
Right. For me, some people have said that it's not really easy to understand in the legalese of the contract, but then again,
Hmm.
and that some people have had to rewrite it. But then if you look at it, it is sort of clearly listed what you can and cannot do. So, is there something going on in these trainings that's contradicting what's written in the?
It,
That's the
it's
only thing I
it's
can think of.
it's got to be something where it's not being comprehended correctly. Because you look back, everybody thought the Calvin Ridley thing was going to be an anomaly. That was going to be the one time, one and done. But apparently it wasn't. And apparently there's other uh, teams and other players that are on an investigation right now. So I mean, we'll see what's going to happen with that. But and my thing is, if the NFL is saying that this thing is not being communicated properly, for me, I don't think it's going to happen. But for me, if the NFL is saying this themselves, that should be, for me, cause for at least a review of the suspension. Maybe it should be reduced to 2 to 3 games. I'm not saying I don't think it will be. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that hmm, that may be a cause for an appeal. I'm just saying he's already said he's not going to do that. But you know, it may be a maybe one of the things where someone might have to nudge him and say, "Hey, man, they've already admitted that this isn't being communicated correctly." So um, maybe it's something they can do there. But at at,
Yeah, and it's kind of
at
hard to
one
believe
point,
that there's a miscommunication since this rule has been around. It's not just a new rule; it's been around in the last year or two. This has been around for a good
I,
decade
I-
now.
but I, but I think it's the digital part of it that's kind
No,
of getting confused.
what I've uncovered in the investigations is that
Hmm.
the crackdown started to occur when the NFL established technology with Super Draft and all of the other best sports betting
Hmm.
apps to actually do in-house hacking to see what was going on. They suspected things were going on, but they did not have the technology to be able to prove it. And they developed that tech, the sports betting apps developed that technology for the teams to be able to prove this. This was an NFL
Yeah,
shakedown.
I think it was one of those things. I think they were looking, when there's smoke, there's fire, and I think they were probably looking for something. And you're gonna find it where you look for it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
um,
So
we'll see if there's anything coming wrong.
the biggest lesson that you can take away as a player is this: don't do nothing unless you talk to your lawyer first.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Don't
Or
say
at least
nothing.
and or one of the, I would say at least don't be at a team activity or don't be at a team facility. If you're in a physical capacity, you're on the road. Don't do it in your hotel room. Don't do it at the casino. Like don't do it at all. If you're in any physical capacity with the team at the time, I mean, wait till you get
Mhm.
home. Wait till the bye week
Yeah, we
or
take a
something.
bye
And
week, but yeah,
yeah, I
because
mean, and
you can't even go out to lunch when or say you're don't where does this count in? Where say you guys you're practicing with the team at the field and you go out for lunch somewhere, geez, that still count as you on the clock with the team.
I think if you're on the team, like they're saying, like Jamin would have been fine if he walked across the street. If he would have walked across the street and played to the NBA bet. Well, I think it was he's been basketball, I believe, right? Um, um, yeah, and I want to say something to one Lions writer, and a lot of beat writers said this today. Shame on you, Carlos. That article was terrible, man.
We
I
expect
know
that
I know you
stuff
write a
out of
lot of
Carlos.
I know you write clickbait all the time, and that's what you're paid to be negative, man. But that was absolutely terrible, man. That was the absolute. That was a crap show,
See, I don't know what he
and
said because I never pay attention to him because I don't pay attention to
yeah,
clickbait
it
people. But
was a lot of Lions beat writers like jumped on his neck today. They were like, "Yeah, man, that wasn't cool." He
mhm.
basically he was trying to compare Williams to Charles Rogers,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Nah, man." And you got to remember, like, I mean, Rogers, bless his soul, man. He's had too many demons, and he was one of those guys where it was a detriment for him to get drafted by his home team because he couldn't get away from the people that was keeping him doing what he was doing, back on the block. Yeah, sometimes being at home is not a good thing because
Mhm.
you don't have the people that, especially when you're around people that you grew up with, you never know who's looking out for you to and who's looking just to get in your pockets.
Anthony's got to get that jab in on me. Looking forward to the edge drills where they line up the perimeter to practice picking off Justin Fields.
Oh yeah, man, that was Aiden Hutchinson with that interception, and that was, and I think that one play in Chicago was one of the plays that were where he caused the interception, where he kind of faded back, and against Cole Kmet, where he didn't let him get open, and I was like, that was a turning point, one of the turning points for me for his season, where he was because he was so aggressive early, especially that you look at that Seattle game where he was just getting ate up they were just sliding the tight end right behind him. So he just when he started getting that maturity level, he can start sliding back in the
Well,
defense.
Hutch didn't have to worry about any offensive line in Chicago either. So, I mean, there's that. I mean,
Those are your Bears. Those are your cut. Those are your
I mean,
now what's
he pretty much, I mean, it was like Sturman. He didn't even have as hard of a job as the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. This was like, this was just like running through the freaking paper flag at the beginning of the game. I mean, that was
yeah.
just, uh, I mean,
How's the Bears offensive line looking this year?
they're making me nervous. They're making me nervous, and the fact that they ain't going to Harlington no more either.
I heard that the Arlington was now it's an option and that they're looking at more areas now.
Yeah, Arlington decided to screw the pooch on them with the property taxes. So yeah,
That's always going to be a big thing.
so they're looking at Naperville right now. So Tornado says, I think
Yeah.
the Lions need to show us how they're going to spread their offense during only one season game, so teams don't see too much, but enough for us to get excited.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna do that because they've been pretty close to the vest um, with what they do. Even in the preseason games, it's been really real vanilla because right with with the removal of that fourth preseason game, you got to worry about now about getting the guys who are actually fighting for a roster spot more reps.
And CJ Rose says free JMO. This
Free
is the
J-Mo.
one. This is the one and only phrase I really can't stand because it's like we're not sending the boy commissary. He ain't in jail. Okay. the
I'm
boy
not messing
is
with.
the
But
boy is
even
free.
even Kirby Joseph had his shirt on at camp the other day. I'm like, free J-Mo.
Like, where are we sending the commissary at?
I feel what you're saying. I hear you. But yeah, he's I think he's going to be all right. He may not have a great season, but I think he'll be a lot more productive than last
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
year. And with the addition of the weapons like Demir Gibbs and stuff, because of the fact that after in week 7, it's going to be a pick your point. It's going to be a really pick. I mean, because you're going to have the Porta and that and Gibbs and Montgomery, and it's going to be one of those. And if they can get that offense humming like they had last year, it's going to be a real pick your poison on that offense.
Mm-hmm.
And if Goff can continue his play like he had last year, because he was picking some defenses apart last year, and the
Mm-hmm.
offensive line kept him clean. If that offensive line can keep him clean again, I mean, we gave up the least one of the least amount of sacks and the least turnovers and that was a great turnaround because you look at we were leading the league in the first half of the season in turnovers and we just stopped.
Well, wasn't the offensive line ranked 4 at one point or something like that
Yeah, yeah.
last year? So if they
So
can hold that, and on top of that, now you got the upgrades in the defensive line, which is pretty much that really helps your quarterback out
mhm.
with your improvements in the defense. So I mean, we could be looking at maybe a top 1 to 3 offense this year with that defensive upgrade.
Yeah, and I would want this. I want the same type of sustained drive that they had last year. The Lions had a lot of sustained drives, but they were keeping their defense on the sideline. And they were just grinding the ball down the field. I love that. I love that offense because sometimes your best defense is a good offense, and to keep our defense to keep that defense on the sideline is a plus for me. And if I would like
Mm-hmm.
that grinded, and the only thing is that you have a couple players that can take it to the house, like in a blink of an eye. Gibbs and Williams could be gone like that. So, um, but I just I like those sustained drives. I want Montgomery to get his carries and and run the ball and do his thing and catch the ball in the backfield. And you look at and I want St. Brown to eat because that's my guy. He wears my number. I'm 14 is my number. My birthday, and it's my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter. It's her birthday, and my oldest granddaughter was born on 11/4. She was born November 4. So if you look at that, I'm January 14, so I'm 114. She's 114, and the big grandbaby is the little one. She's 14. So we 14 in this house. So um,
Yeah, it's
and
it's
I,
it's funny how those numbers run like that. It runs that same way in my family too,
yeah,
where the numbers run similar like that.
yeah. So
So, any
um,
final thoughts you got today, Kirk?
man, it's just so good to be back with the Pride Nation family today, and just to talk to those guys, talk to you all, and thank you guys for all your support over there. Reading my articles, going over to kurtstale.com, checking me out over at the Kurt Steele podcast on my YouTube channel, spelled just like it is on the screen. So if you is this Kurt Steele, and you can go over there. I only put out one video this week, so more content's coming, more articles are coming. And let's appreciate the love and support that I get from the Pride Nation family and all the One Pride Nation.
Absolutely, we're so glad to see you. We're glad to see that you're doing well. Proud Nation's happy to see you again. I told y'all he'd be back every once in a while. He'd be coming back around. It wasn't a permanent goodbye, but And he'll be on again in another free for all Fridays in the near future. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Go over to Kurt that steals all his spots, and make sure you like and comment on his stuff and give him the love and support. We love and support you all. And I'm gonna let Kurt do his favorite little outro.
Hey man, yeah, I know what you got to do for your man Kurt Steele. Whatever you do in life, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. For the queen of the problem is Valerie Bordeaux. This is Kurt Steele, and we will holla at you real soon. We love you, Jim.